So today we're on the edge of the Yorkshire Dales. We're going to be working on a barn conversion. The project's nearly finished and it's a really good location. When a barn is converted in a place like this, it has to be done in sympathy with everything that's around it. So we're going to actually be putting in wildflower areas, we've got barn owl boxes up, and there's a lot of traditional dry stone walling. Now today we're actually going to be working closer to the barn. We're going to form some formal lawns. It's going to make a really nice family home, and if a family's going to live here, they're going to want somewhere to play out. So it's all about making the lawns today. We often find as landscapers that we come along to a project just about at the point where everything else is finished, the property's converted, a lot of the hard landscaping's done, and that can sometimes make it a bit of a logistical nightmare. For example, on this project they've put this lovely wrought iron fence in. It looks stunning, but the problem is that limits us being able to actually get into the garden with our soil. So what I'm going to have to do is have the soil tip down the lane. Unfortunately, I've got a machine that I can lift it over the fence and tip it in the garden with. It should be fun. So we've got the soil over the fence, which is going to make life so much easier, and it's also going to make life a lot easier for the lawn when it starts to grow. We call it top dressing soil, and what it is it's a blend of organic matter which is going to feed the new lawn, and it's also going to hold moisture, and it's also a blend of river sand as well, which will allow any excess moisture in the lawn, i.e. waterlogging, to run through and run away, so you're not going to get a boggy lawn. It's great stuff this, and now we just need to start spreading it about. So you can see the teeth of the rake just pushing the soil about, and then it's got a blade on the top which is brilliant just for putting a nice flat finish on whatever it is you're landscaping, whether it's gravel, soil, sand. There we go. Just blinding a nice sort of 1 to 2 centimetre layer of this stuff all over. As I say, it doesn't matter if there's a bit of grass about already. It's just those docks, nettles and thistles you need to kill off, because that grass will just form part of the lawn. In a place like this on the edge of the countryside, it's best to just go with a lawn that's made up of grasses that are native to the area, and then you don't have any conflict with the native grasses blowing in onto a lawn and it's starting to look messy. There we go. So there's probably a good day's work moving soil about and blinding over the entire area that's going to be seeded here. So I think it's probably best if you go away and come back when I've done it, and then we'll have a look at how we sow the seed. So I've got all the soil spread out, I've raked it out level, and as I've worked my way around, I've just been heel toeing it, which is a simple process where you walk on the levelled soil with your heels, keeping your toes close together, and that compacts the area just enough for if a human were to walk on it, they wouldn't sink, but it doesn't over compact it, because if you do that you get what's called a pan, and when it rains the water sits on top of your lawn and it becomes a quagmire. So I'm just going to finish heel toeing this area. I'll give it one more rake, and then this area is ready for seeding. And this is the last bit I've got to do. So once I've seeded this area, the whole lawn is done and seeded, and then it's just a case of leaving it and waiting for that grass seed to germinate. Right, so I've got a bag of amenity lawn seed. It's perfect for a garden lawn. It's hard wearing, it's good for kids to play on, it can cope with pets going on it, dogs weeing on it. It's the perfect seed for a domestic garden. It's never going to be a bowling green, but it's going to stand up to the rigours of being a garden lawn. Right, so I'm now going to get on and spread it. I've got a top tip for you on how much to spread on a certain area, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. Right, so I'm just going to get a handful of seed out of the bag. It's just sort of clasping it hard, giving it your hand a shake, and then it comes out the bag, and you can see there, got a nice good handful of seed. And if I turn my hand upside down, hardly any falls out of my hand. I've really got a good hold on it. Okay, right, and then I need to go across to the area I'm seeding with that, and I'll show you how far a handful of seed can go. Right, so if I go one pace, two pace, and then a pace across, and look back at the area, that is the area that a handful of seed will cover. So here I go. So I'm just shaking my hand and releasing my grip, and it's starting to snow grass seed. And the great thing about grass seed falling on soil is it's a real contrast of colours. So you can see the grass seed where it's fallen, it really stands out, so you know exactly what you've done. Right, I've almost got to the end of that area, and the seed in my hand has just about run out, so there we go, that's perfect. One handful of seed on an area, 2 paces by 1 pace. You remember that and you'll never go wrong. Now it's just a case of moving on to the next section, pacing it out again and seeding that. Right, so I've got the whole area soiled, levelled, compacted and now seeded, so that is the job done. The next thing that we need is out of our hands, and that's rain. We just have to wait for it to rain. Now the forecast says it's going to rain in a couple of days' time, so that's going to be perfect. It's going to come along and it's just going to nicely soak that seed in. What will happen after it's rained is 7 to 10 days later, the seed will start to germinate, and you'll be able to look at this area and it will just have a gentle haze of green on it when you look at it. Right, so I've just popped back to check things out. It's 2 weeks since we sowed the seed, and it's germinated nicely. There's probably about 2 to 3 centimetres of growth on here. It's not thick enough to mow yet. We need it just to sort of bush out a bit and probably get to about 5 centimetres in length. Then we can come back, cut it, and by cutting it, we're pruning it back, and that'll encourage it to grow out sideways even more and knit together and form a really fine lawn. So yeah, I'm happy with the way it looks. Everything's coming on nicely. I'm going to disappear and come back in another 2 weeks, armed with my lawnmower, give it that first cut, and then that'll be it. Just leave it to its own devices, mow it regularly thereafter, and it'll be a fine lawn. Right, so here we are. It's just over 2 weeks since we last visited this garden, and if you remember, there was just a faint haze of green coming out of the soil. Well, look at it now. We've had some lovely sun and plenty of rain as well. It's been perfect growing weather, and what we've got is a really thick sward of fresh new grass, which is going to make the perfect lawn. All I need to do now is cut it to even things out and just encourage the grass plants to spread sideways as well as upwards, and that'll be the job done. Right, so I've got my little petrol mower. This one is perfect for the job, and it's got an adjustable height system on it. I'm actually going to cut the grass quite long today. I'm not going to have it too short, and that's really because it's quite new juvenile grass, and if I cut it too short I could seriously damage the plants, and that would affect the quality of the lawn moving forward. So the mower's got 6 height settings, and I'm just going for 1, 2, 3 from the highest, and 1, 2, 3 from the highest on the back setting, and then maybe when I cut it next week I'll drop it down to 4 from the highest setting, so that's actually 2 from the lowest setting. I'll put the same on the back, and then I might just work towards having it on number 1, the lowest setting, both ends, once the lawn is sort of established and ready to be well used by family and pets. Right, so it's all set up to go. It's got petrol in it. It's a lovely modern silent mower, so I don't need to wear my ear defenders. I just need to pull the pull cord, get it running and get this grass cut. Right, so I'm collecting the clippings into a bag, and that's for one reason alone. It's so that none of these clippings drop amongst these juvenile plants, because they'll start to break down, which would feed the plants, but also it encourages fungal disease. And with these plants being so young and quite delicate at the moment, we don't want any risk of fungal disease in there, because it'll just come in and it'll wipe your new lawn out. So clip it into a bag and just put it on the compost heap. Right, so there you have it. The grass is cut, it's looking nice and neat, and this lawn is now user friendly. It's perfect to get on there and have a bit of a play and just enjoy it. I wouldn't say get too carried away and have a big game of football or let the dog start digging just yet, but if you cut it every week from now on for a few weeks, just dropping the height of the mower down every time, it'll soon firm up and all those grass plants will bond together and you'll have a lovely sturdy lawn that'll last for years. So there you have it, that's it, job done. That is how you create a lawn from seed. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to see many more videos and get 10% off your next purchase.